Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the worship service of the First Unitarian Church of Hobart. My name is Barb Langle, and I participate in the life of the church by serving on the Board of Trustees, among other things. We are a religious community of people with diverse beliefs and shared values. Our diverse beliefs are expressed in our 6 sources, and our shared values are expressed in our 7 principles. Both can be found online at uua.org. Together, we strive to grow spiritually, build community, and live our values in the world. First, I have a couple of announcements. This is very important. Now listen. The annual congregational meeting will be held at the church after the service on June 11th. We encourage you to attend in person, but remote participation will be available on Zoom. And for June 4th and June 11th, first hour, there will be a forum on the church budget. So please come so you can, if you have questions, it will take up less time during the meeting. Please try to come to one of those first hours in case you have questions.
Tell them how good it was this morning, Carl.
Yeah. Brian will be giving these discussions. I don't know if Carl will be here for either one. I don't know. But this first one was kind of good because we got to look at things that we might want to change a little bit. And this is, until that day, it'll probably be little tweaks here and there. But overall, you'll know what the budget is. So please try to attend. Have some announcements from Pastor Tom and then Ruth.
So you may have seen in your email inbox some info about a survey.
What congregational survey? I heard about it, the plant sale, but I didn't hear anything about this. When did they mention a survey?
It was just a couple days ago. We sent this link out, and you only have until this coming Thursday to fill it out.
Didn't I just do a survey for Faith in Action?
Well, this is our year-end survey. It'll help determine our path for the coming year. On June 10th, the board is having this retreat to set direction for the year. And so whatever you're seeing, feeling, thinking about how things are going in the congregation, we need that input so we can help set direction for the future.
I have 75 tabs open on my computer. Maybe one of them is the survey.
So quick, before your browser crashes and you lose them all.
Ooh, I never responded to that email about what side dish I'll be bringing to the potluck. I should just take care of that really quick. I still have to figure out what side dish that will be. I'll just open up another tab and start searching for recipes.
Yes, there are so many things. So please just take a couple of minutes to fill it out and send it in before this Thursday. It doesn't have to be poetic. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just send it in so we know where you're at.
I want to do the survey, but I have to check my sourdough starter first.
Why don't you just take a look at this one right now?
It is multiple choice, right?
No, it is not multiple choice. We want to hear whatever it is that you have to share with us. So if you have lots to say for one of the questions, that's great. If you have nothing to say for one of the other questions, that's totally fine. It doesn't need to take you more than a few minutes.
Wow, now that I'm looking closer at these brilliant questions, I'm feeling so inspired. All those short answers could be the first chapter of my upcoming best-selling memoir, Unitarian Underdog, or How to Get Noticed at Church When Everyone is Just as Smart and Talented as You Are. The sourdough can wait. I'm going to get started on this right now.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kristen. So that's a deadline of Thursday morning. Please fill that out. link in your inbox. Also wanted to make an announcement. A follow-up a few weeks ago, I made an announcement about hiring for a new custodian. We've posted ads, we've gotten tons of applicants, but we don't just need a warm body. We need somebody who is really great. So we need your help to help us find some really good candidates to interview, specifically somebody who is not a congregant currently. We're wanting to hire from outside of the congregation and also contributes to a thriving staff culture. So maybe you have a friend or a nephew or an uncle or an aunt or a niece or a cousin or a neighbor, or somebody from the bar or the coffee shop, or anybody who feels like they'd be a really great fit for this congregation. Please connect me with them. So specifically, somebody who wants to work for an organization that strives to make a positive impact on the world, who wants to be in a mutually supportive staff environment, and whose spirituality is important to them. So once again, please put me in touch with folks. Thank you.
So I just wanted to make an announcement that we had our 80s trivia night fundraiser for Al last night. It was a blast. Thank you everybody who came out and participated, and we made $443. Minus the expenses, we haven't added that up yet, but it will be, but thank you so much. We had so much fun, and I'm so humbled and excited and hopeful because of this congregation and how you've been responding. So continue to talk to us about Al and talk to your friends and family. It's Our Whole Lives sex education program for 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, 13, 14, and 15-year-olds. Spread the word. We are offering it in 2024. Thanks.
And we were the winners. Okay, let's get serious. When Pastor Tom cannot be in the pulpit, we invite a guest or a member of our congregation to speak. Today we have Reverend Pam Rumancik. Okay, right. We are currently streaming services online. The joys and sorrows portion of this service, however, is private, and we will take a break during that time. Other than that, the service will be recorded and will be available for future viewing on Facebook, YouTube, and the church website. Please let your Facebook and Twitter friends know that you're attending worship with hashtag First Unitarian Hobart. Now please silence your devices and take a deep breath. And another. And join us in the spirit of reverence.
Thank you, Jamie. If you would, there should be these on your desk. Join me in lighting the chalice. We gather this hour as people of faith, joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light the beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, and celebration for life we share together. Quick sidebar here. I won't be here for sorrows and joys. just want to say I'm sorry I created all that havoc last week. And it turned out well, obviously. Just there's 6 things to look at when someone's going through a stroke. But the first thing you should look at is if they can speak. You see, right now I'm struggling to get the words out correctly now. Once their mouth changes, their speech changes, get on the phone. Don't wait. Luckily, James knew there was something wrong. Graciously laid me on the ground, and 2.5 hours later, I was saved. I was done. It was good. So, thank you to everyone. I'm fine. A little rehab here and there. But other than that, I knew all you had me in the back, and I thank you all. Thank you.
Oh, what a tremendous gift. That's wonderful. Again, my name is Pam Rumancik. My pronouns are she and hers, and I'm so grateful to be with you this morning. Our first words are from Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant or gorgeous or talented or fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people don't feel unsure about you. We are born to make manifest that glory. And it's not just in some of us, it is in every one of us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to shine theirs as well. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit and sing our opening hymn, number 298, Wake Now My Senses. through the affirmation of faith? Yes, very good. So I invite you to join in saying that with me right now. Love is the doctrine of this church, and quest for truth is its sacrament. Service is its prayer, and this is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. I invite you now to greet your neighbor with a sign of peace or just a welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So good to see you all. People at home, people at home. All right. Thank you so much. Please be seated. I have an opening reading by Naomi Shihab Nye. It's one of my favorites. She writes, "Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go, so you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. How you ride and ride, thinking the bus will never stop. The passengers eating maize and chicken will stare out the window forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian with a white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. You must see how this could be you, how he too was someone who journeyed through the night with plans and with the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of that cloth. Then it is only kindness which makes sense anymore. Only kindness which ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to gaze at bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I that you have been looking for," and then goes with you everywhere like a shadow or a friend. Someone coming up to lead the joys and sorrows. Thank you.
This congregation expresses our deepest sorrows and greatest joys in community. We believe that a sorrow shared is diminished and a joy shared is magnified. We pause listening to what arises in our hearts. If anyone would like to share today, I'm going to grab the mic. I'm going to come to you, and please stand and share your name. And before we start, I wanted to say thank you, Pam, because so far you've said two of my favorite readings, and that is my great joy this morning. I appreciate you. Is this on?
so much for all of the sharing. We now have a story for all ages, so I hope you'll enjoy that. It'll be a video.
Illustrated by Rafael Lopez. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you. Maybe it will be your skin, your clothes, or the curl of your hair. There will be times when no one understands the way words curl from your mouth, the beautiful language of the country you left behind. My name is Rigoberto. We just moved here from Venezuela. And because they don't understand, the classroom will fill with laughter until the teacher quiets everyone. Rigoberto, from Venezuela, your teacher says so soft and beautifully that your name and homeland sound like flowers blooming the first bright notes of a song. There will be times when the words don't come. Your own voice, once huge, now smaller when the teacher asks, "What did you do last summer? Tell the class your story." "We went to France," Chayla says. "These shells came from a beach in Maine." A boy named Jonathan holds out a jar filled with tiny shells so fragile they look like they'll turn to dust in your own untraveled hands. "My whole family went to India, Spain, South Carolina." Each souvenir a small triumph of a journey. Their travels going on, and as you stand in front of that room, you can only remember how the heat waved as it lifted off the curb, and your days spent at home caring for your little sister, who made you laugh out loud and hugged you hard at nap time. You can only remember the books you kept on reading long after she'd fallen to sleep. And in that room, where no one else is quite like you, you'll look down at your own empty hands and wonder, what good is this when other students were flying and sailing and going somewhere? There will be times when the lunch your mother packed for you is too strange or too unfamiliar for others to love as you do. When even your own friend Nadja will wrinkle her nose and say, "What's in there anyway?" And you'll wonder how she doesn't see the rice beneath the meat and kimchi. You'll wonder why she doesn't remember that rice is the most popular food in the world. There will be times when the climbing bars are too high, the run is too fast and far, the game isn't one you can ever really play. "I don't want him on our team." You can watch. Maybe you can have a turn later. There will be times when the world feels like a place that you're standing all the way outside of. And all that stands beside you is your own brave self, steady as steel and ready, even though you don't yet know what you're ready for. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you until the day you begin to share your stories. My name is Angelina, and I spent my whole summer with my little sister. You tell the class, your voice stronger than it was a minute ago. Reading books and telling stories, and even though we were right on our block, it was like we got to go everywhere. Your name is like my sister's, Rigoberto says. Her name is Angelina too. And all at once, in the room where no one else is quite like you, the world opens itself up a little wider to make some space for you. This is the day you begin to find the places inside, your laughter and your lunches, your books, your travel, and your stories, where every new friend has something a little like you and something else, so fabulously not quite like you at all. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Good morning. Our second reading this morning comes from A Close and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. Life is terrifying. None of us have a rule book. None of us know what we're doing here. So the easiest way to stare reality in the face and not utterly lose your shit is to believe that you have control over it. If you believe you have control, then you believe you're at the top. And if you're at the top, then people who aren't like you, well, they've got to be somewhere lower, right? Every species does this, does it again and again and again. Doesn't matter if they do it to themselves or another species or someone they created. Let's end the reading.
You know there's a light that glows by the front door. Don't forget the keys under the mat. Keep a childhood star shine. Always stay humble and kind. Go to church 'cause your mama says to. And visit grandpa every chance that you can. It won't be a waste of time. Always stay humble and kind. Hold the door safely, say thank you. Don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. I know you got mountains to climb, but always stay humble and kind. To you, when the work you put in is realized, let yourself feel the pride. Always stay humble and kind. Don't expect a free ride from no one. Hold the ride your chip, and here's why. Bitterness keeps you from flying. Always stay humble and kind. Know the difference between sleeping with someone and sleeping with someone you love. Love you and no pick-up lines. Always stay humble and kind. Hold the door safely, say thank you. Don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. Know you got mountains to climb. Always stay humble and kind. When those dreams that you're dreaming come true, when the work you put in is realized, let yourself feel the pride. Always stay humble and kind. When it's hot, eat a root beer popsicle. Shut off the AC and roll the windows down. Let the summer sun shine. Always stay humble and kind. Don't take for granted the love this life gives you. When you get where you're going, turn right back around. Help the next one in line. Always stay humble and kind.
Good morning. Out Beyond Ideas of Wrongdoing and Right Doing by Rumi. Translated from Persian by Coleman Barks and John Moyne from the Essential Rumi. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense.
Thank you. When I was about 4 years old, my mom and her best friend took me horseback riding. I was horse crazy, as many little girls are, and I thought I knew everything about them. So when she put me up on the horse and told me to hold on to the horn because she was lead me about, I threw a little 4-year-old hissy fit and said, "No, I can do it myself." So my mom said, "Fine, do it yourself." And I sat up there and I clucked and I kicked my heels and I did all the things that I've seen on TV that I thought you were supposed to do to make a horse go. And the gentle giant just kind of stood there. Finally, after quite a few minutes, my mom looked at me and I said, "Yeah, I need some help." And she did help me without laughing at me too very much. And I'd like to say that maybe was the last time that I didn't know what I didn't know about life, but being confident in our ignorance is a very human experience. And it's happened many, many times through the years. Neuroscientists tell us that our brains convince us that we already know all we need to know about something, even when there's lots of evidence to the contrary, because it's an energy-saving device on our brain's part. And so if we encounter novelty, our brains harken back to something that seems similar, and we say, "Oh yeah, we already know this." It makes a lot of sense for a lot of life, because it's great that we don't have to relearn what a stoplight is every time we pull up to one. It's not so helpful with the complexities of human beingness, because very early on in our lives, we learn which parts of humans are part of our us and which are not. First our families, and then our neighborhoods, religious communities, political parties, racial groups. In fact, children can describe their racial group and its relationship to the wider community from an incredibly early age. No one has to tell them. They just pay attention and they notice. But if we're self-aware and we want to be responsible humans, we spend the rest of our lives working to expand our us. Because we've learned that diversity is a pretty darn good thing. Being in relationship with people who see the world differently widens our own lenses and allows us to see beyond the limitations of the acculturation that we've grown up with. Some of you probably heard the story of the two fish who are swimming along, and then an older fish swims by the other way and says, "How's the water, boys?" And the two fish keep swimming for a few minutes until finally one says to the other, "What the heck is water?" We exist in a world where things are, if we don't know to look for them, we don't know that they're there. And biology and evolution and culture are all against us on this trying to expand our us, trying to break down those ingrained habits of growing up in a racially hierarchical world. I have to say, my coming out as a lesbian is a prime example, because it didn't happen until I was like nearly 45. That's pretty old to not figure out something that major about yourself. But I grew up in a Roman Catholic community, and it was not an option. There was nobody else lesbian, and it wasn't until maybe after Ellen came out on TV, and then I joined a Unitarian community that I started seeing all these other ways that I could be in the world. And in my growing up world, lesbians were scary people with unibrows. They didn't look like me. And of course, everybody in the world, advertising uses beautiful women to advertise everything. So everybody must be attracted to beautiful women, right? No, maybe not so much. Once I opened my world and was able to see different things, I was able to allow that inner part of me that had been there all along to come out and be and exist in the world. And making that leap changed my life. It allowed fuller happiness, things that I had never imagined were possible before. I had been me all the time, but I hadn't been able to live into that me until I found a new environment and was able to see the world differently. Are there invisible structures that keep us stuck all the time? A poet, thought leader, and academic, Bayo Akomolafe, he's known for saying, "The times are urgent. Let us slow down." The times are urgent. Let us slow down. When I heard that, I thought, I have to follow him. In his paper, Black Lives Matter, But to Whom? Why We Need a Politics of Exile in a Time of Troubling Stuckness, Akomolafe tells the story of Ellen and William Craft. In 1848, they escaped the captivity of slavery by turning themselves into crows and flying away. He wrote, "When the sun yawned awake to the sounds of the cock-crow, his surveillant gaze fell through the cracks of the cabin where the two lovers had spent their last human moments, and where a few obsidian black feathers belonging to the fugitive crows now littered the log floor. Telltale signs of a daring escape, a transformation too offensive for history to embrace." End quote. Our modern minds dismiss this immediately. People can't turn into crows. We are fixed beings in time and space. Maybe. His point is that we have to stop seeing only what we expect to see. Stop believing what we have been told is true. It might even lead us into this. We've been told to fight for equality. We have to fight against those people who are holding equality hostage, instead of maybe breaking open and understanding that we are all harmed by this us versus them version of reality that we're told is inevitable. What if we simply have to see and exist in the world differently? Maybe we don't have to fight any others. Akomolafe uses the metaphor of a slave ship that brought people to these shores. And he suggests that despite the celebrated successes of civil rights and having a black president and all the things that we can point to that have changed, that maybe we haven't actually changed so much anything as moving people around on that metaphorical slave ship. Maybe people have advanced from being chained below deck where they couldn't move to being able to be up on the upper decks where they can breathe and walk around. But they're still stuck on the ship, still stuck in a situation controlled by others and not free. In fact, we can go one step further and say we're all stuck on that ship, no matter what the color of our skin or what our heritage. Everyone alive today still participates in the atrocities of the Middle Passage. The structures and the shackles may be invisible, but they exist in our bodies and in our minds. Because racism is not something out there. It's a perspective encompassing all that we know about the world, and it lives within us. Dr. Akomolafe suggests that we exist within a field of whiteness, an invisible culture that flattens the vibrancy out of life, flattens the possibilities that might be there if we didn't adhere to that field. He said it shuts down emotions, it shuts down compassion. It says that there is a right way to live. And if you're quiet and just do what you're supposed to do, you just follow the rules, everything's going to be okay. And by participating, you will reap the rewards of comfort and superiority and can safely believe that you're on top. It's a lie, of course, but it's a big lie that we live within every moment. He says there's also another field, which he calls blackness, And blackness is the field of resistance. Blackness invites the fullness of every human life. It reminds us that we are each born a child of this universe, each born to shine our light. Blackness pushes back against those us versus them stories that we tell and affirms that we all exist within a continuum that goes around and does not change, does not end. We all exist within a fluid and interconnected world. Life does not have to exist and look only one way, despite what the advertisers might try to tell us. There is depth and joy and promise in bringing our own unique selves to the world and seeing the unique beauty in every single being around us. Because everyone is disempowered by a hierarchical society. Even claiming to be an ally helps maintain the system because it still enforces barriers between different humans. It still says that there is an us and a them, and that divisions are real. It doesn't acknowledge our kinship and realize that shared mutual liberation is the only worthwhile goal. Okay, Reverend Pam, you're up there. So if you're saying I'm not supposed to be protesting or blaming white nationalists or participating in the woker than thou Olympics, what do I do? How do I change injustice in my world? This is the hard one. It's by changing in here. Basic humility demands that we first figure out how much we don't know. It asks that we let down any of those defensive postures that we've built up over our lives to keep us safe and to put them aside so that we can connect. It says that if I'm actually going to ride that horse, I have to let down my pride and ask for help and say, okay, maybe if I'm really on the horse, I don't really know how to make it go. As Unitarian Universalists, we've been working on anti-racism work for a very, very long time, and sadly, the results are not stellar. And it's not because we're not good people, and it's not because we haven't tried really hard, and it's not because in our heart of hearts, we don't long for connection and belonging. I think we failed because we begin by seeing some people as other, and by wanting to bring those others into our community so they can be with us, like us. But actual diversity means changing how we see the world and how we act within it, and not keeping everything the same with just different skin tones or gender pronouns in the room. So what do we do? How do we imagine ourselves into a new reality? The first thing is to, first and foremost, trust the light inside of yourself. That light is real. And when you can tap in and celebrate your own life, you can see the light in the people around you, no matter who they are, what group they're supposed to be from. And then we can try really hard to see that invisible field of whiteness that all of us inhabit, no matter what amount of melanin is in our skin. If you live in this country, that's the field you inhabit. And here's one. Check your brain. And when it starts telling you, you already know all you have to do, remind it. No, you don't. No, you don't. There is always something that I can learn. Here's an example of flattening in real life. A person I know well belongs to a women's chorus, and they've been trying to become more diverse over the past few years, and they've formed committees, and they've had talking circles, and they've read a ton of books and watched videos, and they even changed their bylaws to make sure they sing more songs written by people of color, women of color. And they've made some progress. They actually have. More women have joined the chorus, women of color, and they've actually stuck around longer than one season. But at a recent rehearsal, the conductor invited the choir to go off book and to sing along with her, to follow her through the song, because she wanted to break it open from the tight constraints that were written on the page. But she got tremendous pushback from the white women in the group. One shamed her for not doing one measure correctly. And it was so much pushback that she just threw in the towel and said, fine, okay, we'll do it like it's written. But afterwards, when she was thinking back on it, she realized that all the black women in the chorus had been supporting her and had been saying, keep going. Whiteness at work in that chorus demanded that they stay rule-bound and refused to let in any wiggle room from the way things were written. But blackness resisted. Blackness wanted freedom and joy. Blackness meant, let's see what happens, even if it creates something different and new. It's okay. Every day, we have the opportunity to choose which field we're going to inhabit. You see, I don't have to change the world. I can't do that. But I can change how I see the world. I think this is what Dr. Komalafe was talking about in seeing differently. We don't have to believe that humans can turn into birds and fly away, but we do have to believe that more is possible than our current reality. There's an author, Dr. Ruha Benjamin, and she suggests that we begin by using our imagination, exercising it. At a 2023 USC Rossier's Master Commencement Ceremony, she said, "The more steeped I am in the facts of inequality and injustice, the more I've come to appreciate the importance of imagination as a field of struggle, not an ephemeral afterthought that we have the luxury to dismiss or romanticize. Social imagination, moral imagination, decolonial, anti-racist, collective imagination. We cannot change the world if we cannot imagine a new one." End quote. How do we exercise our imaginations? One is by the reading that Brian wrote this morning by Becky Chambers. She's one of my favorite authors. She has created this entire universe of beings where humans hold a deep respect for themselves and all life and all beings. Her worlds are populated by different races and genders and species who all manage to rub up against each other and still find full, rich lives. My wife and I often listen to her when we're driving on long trips, and she makes me laugh and cry and think, and I think I've preached on her at least 3 or 4 times already, because she always opens up something that I wouldn't have thought about, but she did. Yay. Another thing that those of us that are more melanin challenged can do is to watch Black entertainment. My wife and I have many favorite shows, and one is on Hulu is called Woke. It's based on the real-life comic Keith Knight, and it follows his journey into activism with his realization of how much activism is simply an extension of that hierarchical rat race. So much of it is still participation, still showing up to say that I'm right because I'm doing activism right. It does involve cartoon things yelling at him, and it's hilarious, so that helps too. And, there's so many other amazing shows you can watch out there that just open up a view into a different way of being in the world. Now, I also read and regularly follow Black authors and columnists and leaders like Bayo Komalafe and Ruha Benjamin, to all trying to break down that acculturated view that I grew up with in the world, trying to see things that I couldn't see before. Now, can I say that I understand the Black experience? Absolutely not. But can I say that I see people with more melanin and different cultures as part of my us? Surprisingly, the answer has become gradually more and more of a solid yes. I know something shifted because a long time ago when I was in seminary, I'd attended a diversity workshop, and the workshop leader asked us all, we're mostly white people, asked us if we dreamed in color or black and white. Were the people inhabiting our dreams, were they all white or were they all mixed races? And I sadly at the time had to say, no, everybody in my dreams were white. But over the years that's changed. And now many of my dreams have people of all different races and things going on in them. And in the dreams, they're just normal people. But when I wake up, I go, yay, look at that. My us has expanded. And somehow I think that I've changed something in my subconscious, which is the beginning to changing how I'm going to act out in the world. Of course, I am still a racist human being because that's who I was, that's how I've been acculturated in this world. And I will never fully shed all the implicit biases that I carry around with me. But I know that. And so if anybody wants to call me out and say, you messed up here, I'm going to go, yep, I did. Because I don't ever have to feel attacked, because this is who my identity is. Somebody who's trying my best and will fail, and trying to imagine a different world and trying to create that world by living in it differently. Dr. Komalafe asked us invited us to let go of old stories and come up with new ones. And Dr. Benjamin says that we have to take imagination as seriously as any of the other things in our lives as a site of our struggle. My happiness is wrapped up in the happiness of all of my fellow beings. And our goals must evolve into moving folks from the one deck to another deck of the slave ship, to getting all of us off that ship entirely and onto a solid ground that was previously unimagined, where we can all live together and share a life that is free and alive and beautiful, where we can see the light that shines in every single being. The Persian poet Rumi said, "Yesterday I was so clever that I wanted to change the world. But today I'm wise, so I'm changing myself." Together, we can travel beyond ideas of right doing and wrong doing and create a new community in a field of unimagined possibilities. Amen, and blessed be.
Thank you, Reverend. Now is a time in our service for our offering. We give to remind ourselves of how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and friendship. We give with the faith that together we have enough. The money in the baskets goes to sustaining the mission of our community. The money in the cups goes to our Faith in Action Ministry and a different charity chosen by the ministry every month. This month, the money from the cups goes to the Hobart Humane Society that is talked about. We talked about a couple weeks ago, and it's in the order of service. For those not here with us today, there's an online link on the screen for both one-time and regular donations. And if we could have 4 volunteers, please. For your prayers, your presence, your service, and your gifts, we are truly grateful. And now please rise as you're willing and able and join in singing the closing hymn, which is number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
you so much. You sounded lovely. Our closing words are from Rumi as well. He writes, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. And do not worry that your life is turning upside down. How do you know that the side you are used to is any better than the one that is yet to come?" Go forth today and have a beautiful day.
If you would, join me in extinguishing the chalice. Extinguish this flame, but not the light truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please, everyone, party in the backyard.